We are now in the study of the book of Daniel. Pinamagatan po natin itong faithful living in a faithless world. Okay, so sige, pag-aralan natin muna. Lesson overview. Ano bang purpose natin? Bakit natin pag-aaralan tong libro? Well, basically, this is to equip you as leaders, no? So that you and I will be able to live faithfully with courage and hope while you and I are serving in a very challenging culture. During the time of Daniel, they were exiled and they were actually living in a foreign land, meaning yung lugar na kung saan naglilingkod siya ay hindi kanila. At ang pinaglilingkuran niya, hindi niya mga kababayan. Nawa niyo? Ang pinaglilingkuran niya ay mga foreign people. These are people who do not even believe to Yahweh, to the real God, no? And God has a purpose to bringing them to Babylon. And yun ang makikita nating tema actually. Ano yung pinaka-tema na makikita natin dito sa Daniel? Yun yung purpose ni God. And eventually, you will see the faithfulness of Daniel and his friends. Even they are living in a place, in a culture that is very challenging. Bakit very challenging? Kasi yung lugar na pinuntahan nila, sumasamba sa mga Diyos-Diyosan. Hindi lang basta sumasamba sa mga Diyos-Diyosan, maraming Diyos-Diyosan at may pressure. Pag hindi nila sinamba, may consequences, quote-unquote, legal consequences that you will see eventually in the story. Okay? Now, let's continue. Ano ang pinaka-overall theme? Ano ang pinaka-overall na mensahe ng Book of Daniel? Well, the Book of Daniel speaks about God's sovereignty. So, God is sovereign over all kingdom. Pag sinabi nating sovereign, He is the most powerful. He is in control of every kingdom, history, and every human lives. Meaning to say, even though there are times na parang hindi natin kontrolado tayong mga tao, no? At minsan, hindi natin nararamdaman o nakikita na kumikilos ang Diyos, but still God is going to tell you or reveal to you in the book of Daniel that He is still in control. He is in control of everything that's happening around the world. That's the message of Daniel. And in the book of Daniel, you will see that God honors every person who remains faithful even in the midst of challenges, in spite of hardships and anything that's happening to them. He honors people in those situations. So yan ang makikita nating aral dito sa Book of Daniel. Okay? Now, let's continue. Teka, naghang yung aking naghang. Stop share ko muna. Okay. Now, pag-usapan natin ang background, no? Kanina pag-usapan natin yung background ng Book of Daniel. Una, yung authorship and setting. When we say authorship, sino ba ang sumulat nito? Napakahalagang maintindihan natin kung sino ang sumulat at kailan sinulat. Nang sa ganon, yung context mismo, pag binasa natin yung mga talata sa Biblia, may understanding tayo kasi we need to interpret o understand every verse according to their setting at kung sino yung sumulat. So ang author ng Daniel, Book of Daniel is Daniel himself. So yung pangalan niya mismo, yun yung pangalan niya ng libro. At ang ibig sabihin ng Daniel ay God is my judge. Yun pala Yun pala ang ibig sabihin no? Kung may kapitbahay kayo o anak kayo, kamag-anak kayo na Daniel, ang ibig sabihin niya pala niyan ay God is my judge. So the time period which this happened is around 605 to 536 before Christ. So, ganyan katagal ba? No, 600 to 536 bago dumating ang Panginoon. At ang historical context niyan, ang Israel, nabihag na siya. Yung buong Israel, nabihag siya at dinala na siya sa Babylon. Sa Babylonian Empire. So they were exiled. Lahat ng mga royal blood, lahat ng matatalino, mahuhusay, malalaki ang katawan, able-bodied, dinala sila sa Babylonia. Anong iniwan lang sa Israel were actually the women, the aged or the olds, and yung mga yung may mga problema, may crippled, ganyan, yung mga PWD, kumbaga, ang mga matatalino, mga royal blood, dinala sila sa Babylon. So, Meaning to say, God's people during this time, they were actually living under a pagan rule. Ang ibig sabihin, yung kanilang hari, yung kanilang mga leader ay hindi mga Kristiyano, hindi mga mananampalataya, hindi mga Hudyo, no? Kundi ito ay mga pagano. Ang ibig sabihin, sila ay sumasamba sa Diyos-Diyosan o sa ibang Diyos. Yun yung situation nila. Ano ang purpose ng book? Bakit ito sinulat? Well, basically, sinulat ito para ipakita na ang Diyos, kontrolado niya pa rin kung ano ang nangyayari sa buong mundo at sa mga tao niya kahit na sila ay nasa ilalim ng oppression. And of course, because of that, the book of Daniel were basically written to encourage the people during that time to be faithful despite pressures and a possibility to compromise. Nakuha nyo? During that time, parang ang dali-dali na mag-compromise ang tao kasi under pressure sila eh. Kumbaga batas, no, inuto sa kanila tapos bawal yung kanilang religion. So, alam nyo parang ganoon eh. Minsan pag ang isang tao nasa ibang lugar, let's say for example, dito sa Pilipinas, kapag Christian ka, nandiyan ang pamilya mo, I mean, dahil may mga nakatingin sa iyo, talagang you ought to live a faithful life, especially if you're a Christian, if you're like serving in the church. Pero pag iniba mo yung setting, minsan halimbawa nilagay mo yung isang tao sa isang lugar na malayo, walang nakakakita sa kanila, walang nakakakilala. Tapos nilagay mo pa siya sa isang lugar na kung saan ipinagbabawal ang Christianity. Nakuha nyo, pinagbabawal ang Bible study o pinagbabawal ang prayer. Di ba parang andaling mag-compromise? Andaling i-justify na, naku, kailangan sumunod sa batas eh. Di ba tayo dapat sumunod sa batas? And so therefore, quote-unquote, pwede nang i-justify yung hindi pagsunod sa Panginoon. Especially kung yung batas ng ibang bayan. Nakuha nyo, yun nga lang, pumunta ka sa isang lugar tapos walang nakakilala sa'yo. Minsan, di ba, parang yung temptation na gumawa ng kalokohan, nandun. So, these people actually at the book of Daniel are the people who are under pressure and under compromising situation. So, sinulat ang Daniel to encourage them to be faithful. Let me ask you this. Are you now in a situation where you are pressured to compromise? So, this book is very, very helpful to you and me. So, ang pinaka-sentro ng Book of Daniel, if you're going to ask me, ay Daniel chapter 4 verse 17. Okay, basahin ko sa inyo ha. For this has been decreed by the messengers, it is commanded by the Holy One. So, ito yung pinaka-sentro. So that everyone may know that the Most High rules over the kingdoms of the worlds. He gives to them, to anyone He chooses, even to the lowliest of people. Anong sinasabi dyan ni Daniel? Sabi niya, ang Diyos, siya ang may control, may kapangyarihan sa lahat ng kaharian o pamahalaan, o pwede ko siguro sabihin, gobyerno sa buong mundo. At may kakayahan siyang piliin o ibigay sa isang tao ang pamamahala o kaya may kakayahan din siya na tanggalin sila doon. So that's the very message. Ang ibig sabihin nun yung sovereignty. Ang Diyos ay may control. Now, let me give you some trivia on the book of Daniel. Number 1, alam nyo ba na ang si Daniel nung siya ay na-exile sa Babylon, hindi pa siya matanda. He was like a teenager, maybe 13 to 16. Yun yung edad niya na kung saan dinala siya sa Babylon. That was 605 BC. Now, ang Book of Daniel also is written in 2 languages, Hebrew at saka Aramaic. Well, basically, the whole Bible is written in 3 languages. Yung Old Testament, may makikita kang Hebrew. Most of the writings are in Hebrews. Now, ang Daniel, may Hebrew ito. Pero on the other hand, yung chapter 2, verse 4 to chapter 7 verse 28, sinulat yan sa Aramaic. Nakanyo? So, 2 languages. Well, basically, ang spoken language nila during that time ay Hebrew but also Aramaic. Parang sa atin ngayon, sa Pilipinas, ang sinasalita natin majority, lalo dito sa Luzon, ay Filipino o Tagalog. Pero tayo din ay sanay na magsalita ng Ingles. So parang ganyan. Now, number 3 trivia. Si Daniel ay naglingkod hindi lamang sa isang hari. 4 na hari actually. 4 na empires. at kings ang kanyang pinaglingkuran, beginning with Nebuchadnezzar, tapos kay Belshazzar, then eventually sinakop sila ni King Darius at saka ni King Cyrus of Persia. Nakakatuwa kahit nasakop sila ng iba-ibang empire. Alam nyo kasi si Daniel ay isang paham. Alam niyo ibig sabihin ng paham o pantas? Siya ay scholar. Nakuha nyo? Because he is a scholar, he is very much useful for every kings that reign. No? Kumbaga ako hari, syempre hari ako, ba't ko papatayin yung matatalino? Makakatulong sa akin yun. So ang mga hari, hindi niya pinapatay yung mga scholars o yung mga matatalino. Kumbaga sa kapanahunan natin yun, yung mga scientists, yun yung mga dalubhasa, mga philosophers of our time. So ang mga hari of every empire, even though na sasakop nila yung mga imperyo at kaharian, pinapatay lang normally yung mga military men, hindi actually lahat, kundi yung mga leaders. At magkaminsan yung mga hari o yung mga royal blood na makikipag-agawan sa kanilang kaharian. Pero magkaminsan yung mga hari hindi rin pinapatay kasi ano yun ang ginagawa nila parang yun yung kanilang hawak in order for the people to be to vow unto them. Nakuha nyo? At the same time, yung mga scholars, hindi yan pinapatay. So, si Daniel, bagamat iba-ibang imperyo at hari ang dumaan sa kanya, hindi siya because he was actually one of the greatest, if not the greatest scholar of his time. Okay? Balikan ko lang to saglit. When I say scholar, actually there is a study na during the time of Daniel, because he served 4 empires, he was actually able to make a school or to create a school of scholars. At alam niyo ba, during the time of Jesus, ito another trivia. During the time of Jesus, merong dumating na, ang tawag natin mga Pilipino, tatlong mago o tatlong hari. Pero actually sa Bible, hindi naman talaga tatlong hari yun, no? They were, if you're going to study them, deeper study, maaano mo na sila ay galing sa Babylon. Sa Babylon. Dito. At hindi lang yon, yung mga pumunta kay Jesus during that time, they were actually scholars. No, they were studying actually the heavenly bodies, and most likely daw, according to my research, most likely sila yung mga naiwan na disciples or students, no, yung mga dumating na generations, pero under the schools that was created by Daniel. Parang gano'n. Okay, number 4 trivia. Daniel is one of the few biblical characters with no recorded moral failure in scripture. Nakuha niya, nakakatuwa na na may mga generals tayo, no, in Christian faith or in biblical faith na wala ka talaga makikitang moral failure, and Daniel is one of those. Nakuha niya, Daniel and Joseph, no? Number 5, the famous lion's den, yung itinapon si Daniel sa lion's den. It happened actually when he is already an old man. Hindi pa siya bata noon, matanda na siya. Number 6, yung fiery furnace, yung tinapon doon sa nagbabagang pugon. Well, basically, doon wala si Daniel sa story na yun, no? Yung tatlo lang, si Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Okay, so that's trivia. Number 7, trivia. Daniel contains some of the most detailed prophetic vision in the Old Testament. Actually, yung pag nag-aaral ng last things o yung we call it eschatology, one of the major references by theologians is actually the book of Daniel. You know what? Because Daniel actually has the most detailed prophetic vision in the Old Testament, including the time where Jesus Christ is coming. Nakanyo, maging yung kanyang pagdating, yung kanyang pagkamatay sa krus. It may accurate computation. And number 8, the title Son of Man in Daniel chapter 7 verse 13 eventually became the title of Jesus that he used for himself when he came in the New Testament. So iyan lang yung mga ilang trivia, okay? Anong nakikita nyo sa picture? A praying person. This is Daniel faithfully praying, and there's a very good story about this picture. So, pag-usapan natin ang structure kung hahatiin natin, kumbaga kung babalangkasin natin yung buong libro ng Daniel, pwede nating hatiin sa dalawang bahagi. Nakuha nyo? Letter A, makikita nyo yung Daniel chapter 1 to 6. Dito makikita nyo ang kwento kung susumahin nating lahat. Ang kwentong ito ay patungkol sa katapatan na ipinakita ng mga anak ng Diyos doon sa Babylonia na kung saan ay lugar ng mga hindi naniniwala sa totoong Diyos. So Daniel chapter 1 to 6 is actually faithfulness in action. And you will see that in chapter 1 to 6, the kind of writing is considered, this is actually classified as narrative. Pag sinabi nating narrative, kwento ito. Kaya makikita nyo rito, pakwento, istorya, kung anong nangyari. Nakuha nyo, ayan yung chapter 1 to 6. So you will see the stories of Daniel and his friends living out faithfully in the land of Babylon. Ang chapter 1 is talking about faithfulness in personal conviction. Chapter 3, faithfulness under persecution. Chapter 6 is faithfulness in prayer. Napansin niyo yan? No? Tingnan muna natin yung chapter 1. Okay. Okay. Bago ko i-point out pala yung dito, yung mga particular verses niyan. Gusto ko lang makabisan nyo na ito pala yun, faithfulness. Daniel chapter 1 to 6, faithfulness. Chapter 1, personal conviction. Chapter 3, under persecution. Tsaka chapter 6 is all about being faithful in prayer. Makikita nyo yun mamaya. Now, yung pangalawang kalahati ng Daniel is chapter 7, beginning chapter 7 to chapter 12. At itong mga chapters naman na ito, by the way, I advise you to read the whole book. Ngayong darating na week, ang advice ko sa inyo from chapter 1 to chapter 12, i-audio Bible nyo para habang kayo naglalaba, naguhugas, naglilinis, na nabasa nyo, napakinggan nyo na yung Daniel. Well, ang chapter 7 to 12 is speaking about God's sovereignty revealed. Ano ibig sabihin nito? Well, basically, these are speaking about of the coming prophetic utterance, meaning to say these are visions of the coming events. Nakuha nyo? So prophetic visions about the future kingdom and eventually at the end you will see God's final victory. Alam niyo, nakakatuwa dito sa Book of Daniel kasi nagsimula siya, pinakita na sila ay nabihag Pero at the end of the chapter, 12th chapter, you will see the final victory, the future victory, the prophetic vision that God is telling them. Sinasabi ng Panginoon dito yung pag-asa, So nagsimula sa pagkabihag pero natapos sa last chapter na sila ay nakakita ng pag-asa ng pagiging malaya, ultimate freedom. Okay, now let's look at the key lessons. Yan, dito na tayo. Ano ba mga pwede nating matutunan, as leaders, not only leaders actually, as an ordinary Christian? What are the things that you and I can live out, lessons that we can apply into our lives, So ano yung mga lessons na yun? Number 1 lesson, faithfulness begins with daily choices. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Ang katapatan pala ay nagsisimula sa pang-araw-araw na desisyon. At hindi lang sa malalaking desisyon, nagsisimula siya actually sa mga maliliit na desisyon. Parang nagpa-pile up yan. So yung faithfulness mo in the future will be determined how you are being faithful today. Makikita natin yan sa story sa Daniel chapter 1. Dito, ang summary ng kwento, si Daniel at saka yung mga kaibigan niya, they refused to defile themselves with the king's food. Nakuha nyo? Anong ibig sabihin yan? Kasi pinapakain sila kasi nga mga dinidevelop sila mga scholars na maglilingkod sa mahal na hari. So inaalagaan sila, meron silang school, kumbaga, na kung saan inaalagaan sila ng mga attendants ng king. Kasi nga, ang purpose nila is to serve the king with excellence. Now, ang ginawa nung attendants, binibigyan sila ng mga pagkain at ang pagkain na nanggaling sa kanila, alam mo kung saan galing? Doon mismo sa table quote-unquote, ng hari. Nakuha nyo? Now, there's a problem because those food that's being brought to the king were actually sacrificed to the pagan gods. Nakuha nyo? Meaning to say, yung mga pagkain na yun, isinakripisyo muna, inalay, bago nila kinakain yun. And so therefore, if you eat it, there's a connotation that you are actually compromising your faith. And not only that, there are foods that are religiously or sacrificially defiled or not clean, no, in the eyes of the Jewish people. So kahit masasarap yun, kahit iniutos pa ng hari, Daniel and his friend refused to eat it. Malit lang na desisyon, no? But you see, small decisions reflect deep convictions. Alam niyo yung malaking conviction nagsimula yun sa mga maliliit yung maliit na bagay. Magkaminsan kasi yung mga maliliit na bagay yun yung pinapatulan natin, yung ay maliit lang naman yan. Maliit lang naman yung paperclip, maliit lang naman yung papel sa opisina, pag inuwi ko o kaya yung ballpen binigay ko sa anak ko. Nakuha nyo? Mga maliliit pero actually nakaka-apekto yun ng mas malakihan sa conviction natin. Even your small decisions right now, your convictions, is going to pile up and eventually that's going to help you make the strongest decisions that you will have in your life. Now, basahin natin chapter 1 verse 8. Ito yung particular verse actually where it says, Daniel, sabi rito, but Daniel was determined not to defile himself. Grabe, no, yung determination niya. Yung salitang determined is a decision, a strong decision. Ano yung strong decision niya? Na hindi siya ma-defile, hindi siya madungisan, hindi siya marumihan ng pagkain na nanggagaling doon sa hapag ng hari. So anong ginawa niya? Because he is very determined, he has that decision, so he looked for a way to not defile himself. So sabi sa Bible, he asked the chief of the staff for permission not to eat these unacceptable foods. At yun, pinayagan nga sila. In fact, sabi niya, after some time, itong mga kakainin namin, mga gulay lang, yung mga pinili namin, ikumpara nyo kami dun sa mga pinapakain nyo na pagkain galing dun sa mahal na hari. At ginawa nga pumayag siya at nakita niya, wow, magagaling. Mas malulusog sila at hindi lang mas malulusog, mas matatalino. Nakuha nyo? Anong point ko dito? When you are really determined, when you are really serious about keeping yourself holy, you know what? God is going to help you to reach that goal. If you are determined, God is going to give you a way out to not defile yourself or to escape any temptation to compromise. Yan ang lesson dito. Now, there are actually leadership applications that you and I can apply. So, ano yung mga leadership applications na pwede nating i-apply? Ikaw at ako, tsaka bilang leader. Una, integrity matters even when no one is watching. Alam niyo yung integrity, yung pagiging totoo at tapat kahit walang nakatingin. Ito yung ginagawa mo yung tama kahit walang nagbabantay sa'yo o walang sumisita sa'yo. Ibig sabihin ng integrity. Integrity yung pagiging totoo. At alam niyo, magkaminsan kasi talaga, mahirap maging merong tukso kapag yung wala nang nakatingin. Di ba? Kapag wala nang nagbabantay sa'yo, wala nang nakatingin, o walang nakakakilala sa'yo, ang dali talagang mag-give in sa mundo, ang daling pumayag sa tukso, ang daling gumawa ng kabulstugan. Pero yun yung pagkakaiba ni Daniel, no? Kahit nasa malayo silang lugar, in fact, they were actually permitted, no, to eat the food that comes from the king. Pero yun nga, integrity matters. Kahit walang nakatingin sa kanila, he made a decision to not defile himself. Pangalawa, compromise starts small, but so does faithfulness. Alam niyo yung compromise, yung kompromiso, hindi naman siya agad malakihan Nagsisimula siya sa maliliit. Like for instance, halimbawa lang, yung mga, pero hindi talaga ako masaya sa mga politiko na nagnanakaw. Yung mga nagnanakaw na politiko, ngayon, di ba, nababaltaan natin, milyon-milyon na, bilyon-bilyon na. Ang totoo niyan, yung mga yan, hindi naman nagsimula sa milyon-milyon o bilyon-bilyon. Nagsimula yan sa maliliit. Pero alam nyo, kapag ang compromise kasi nasanay ka na, nagkompromiso kasi isang maliit na bagay, nasanay ka na, nai-immune ka na, lumalaki din. Awan nyo? So, compromise starts small. Magsisimula sa paperclip siguro, sa papel sa opisina, tapos eventually yung mga sukli na hindi binabalik. O kaya yung yung compromise sa yung resibo. Halimbawa, pinabili ka ng ng kung anumang materyales sa kumpanya. At minsan, aalokin ka pa nung Minsan, nangyari po sa akin yan. Bumili ako sa hardware, halimbawa. Tatanungin ka pa, sir, anong ilalagay natin ditong presyo? Let's say, for example, ang nabili mo ay nasa halagang 5,000 lang, no? Minsan, yung hardware pa sasabihan, lalo kung alam niya na parang inutusan ka lang. Sir, ano ilalagay natin dito? Pwede natin gawing 10,000, 8,000, something like that. Parang meron ng patong. Parang ang daling magkompormiso, di ba? Kasi inaalok na sa'yo. Tapos parang walang nakasita. In fact, kakutsaba mo pa yung Pero I tell you, when you do that, when you compromise in a small thing, eventually lalaki yun ng lalaki. Pero alam niyo ba na pareho din sa pagiging tapat. Ang pagiging tapat, pag tapat ka sa maliit na bagay, then eventually nagiging ugali mo na yun. Pag naging tapat ka sa maliit na bagay, then nagiging tapat ka sa mas malaking bagay, mas malaki hanggang sa pinakamalaking bagay, kasi nga pre-practice mo sa maliit. So ang practice time doon sa maliit eh. Pag sa maliit pa lang nagko-compromise ka na, sa malaki mas magko-compromise ka din. Pero si Daniel, sa maliliit na bagay pa lang, kaya pansinin nyo, pagkain pa lang naging tapat siya. That's why he actually became, I should say, quote-unquote, prime minister of his time. And he served 4 kingdoms, 4 empires, and 4 kings. Okay? So, kumusta? Ikaw mga kapatid, kumusta ang integrity nyo? Tapat ka ba pag maraming nakatingin? Pero, paano na pag wala nang nakatingin? Tapat ka ba pag chinecheck ka at merong babantay sa'yo? Sa trabaho, sa ginagawa mo. O tapat ka kahit walang nakatingin. Ginagawa mo yung dapat mong ginagawa. Okay? So, ang tanong ko sa inyo ito, what small compromises are leaders tempted to make today? Ano ba yung mga maliliit na kompromiso na mga leader natin ngayon na parang natutuksong gawin? Pag-isipan natin yan. Okay, key lessons for leaders number 2. Number 2 na tayo, 5 lang naman ito. God honors courageous obedience. Ang Panginoong Diyos daw ay pinaparangalan niya yung mga tao na matapang na sumusunod kahit may banta pa sa kanilang buhay. Ang storyang to ay actually nasa Daniel chapter 3. This story is about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Naalala niyo ba yung kwentong ito? Yung mga pinunong kasama nila, gumawa sila ng batas at binola-bola nila si Nebuchadnezzar. Nasabi, mahal na hari, pag yung mga po ay nagtugtugan na, dapat ay luluhod lahat. Di ba? Diniklara ni King Nebuchadnezzar. Sige ito. Tapos, sinuplong ng mga tao si Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. Sabi nila ginagawa ito. So, these 3 men, faithful men, they refused to bow even they were under threat. And the threat was not just to harm them, but actually to kill them. Sabi, pag hindi kayo sumamba, papatayin kayo. Actually, tatapon kayo doon sa nagbabagang apoy. So, sinumbong sila. At pinatawag sila kasi sinumbong na eh. Pinatawag ni Nebuchadnezzar. At dahil, quote-unquote, mukhang ito yung mga magagaling ko mga lingkod eh. Pero sabi niya, bibigyan ko kayo ng chance. Sabi niya, bibigyan ko pa kayo ng chance. Kapag tumugtog yung mga musika, lumuhod na kayo. Sumamba na kayo. Grabe yung yung naging sagot ng tatlong ito. And their answer were actually a sign of people who trust God regardless of the outcome. They trusted God even though they know that they are actually under threat. Basahin natin yung sagot nila, Daniel chapter 3 verse 17 to 18. Ito yung sagot nila. I want you to read the story actually, pero I'll just read to you the verses. Etong sagot nung tatlo. Sabi niya, hindi po kami sasamba. Sabi, tatapon kayo sa burning furnace. Etong sabi nila, well, if we are thrown in the blazing furnace, look at their faith, the God whom we serve, ang Diyos na pinaglilingkuran namin, sabi niya, is able to save us. Grabe yung pananampalataya ng tatlong to. Kahit itapon niyo po kami doon, yung Diyos na pinaglilingkuran namin, kaya niya kaming iligtas. He will rescue us from your power, your majesty. Pero itong verse 18 ang grabe, nagpatatag ng kanilang pananampalataya. Sabi dito, but even if He doesn't, we want to make it clear to you, your majesty, that we will never serve your gods or worship the gold statue you have set up. Mahal na hari, kaya kaming iligtas ng Diyos ng aming pinaglilingkuran. Pero kung hindi niya man kami iligtas, gusto naming malaman nyo, hindi kami maglilingkod sa inyong mga Diyos-Diyosan at kahit dyan sa gintong estatwa na inyong ginawa. Grabe yun, no? This statement actually is a statement of courage, tapang, courage, and faith, pananampalataya. Magkasama lagi yan eh. Yung tapang ay nagiging totoo, nagiging matatag, nagiging malakas kasi merong pinanghahawakan na pananampalataya. May sinasampalataya na mas malaking Diyos, no? So, anong leadership application natin dyan? Obedience is not conditional on result. Sabi nila, kahit pa hindi kami ligtas, susunod pa rin kami sa Diyos. Leaders must model courage under pressure. Alam niyo, bilang mga leader, itong pagkakaiba natin sa mga ordinaryong tao dapat. Tayong mga leader, yung tapang natin na manindigan sa pananampalataya sa Panginoon, yung tapang natin na manindigan para sa Panginoon, dapat nandiyan dyan. Lalo na kung merong threat, merong pressure. Nakakanyo? We are going to show, to manifest our faith, no? Even under pressure. Because you believe God is on your side. We believe that God is on our side. Key lessons for leaders, number 3. Number 3 na po tayo. Prayer is a leader's lifeline. Tagalog, ang panalangin ay ang pinaka-pangunahing linya na kung saan ang mga leader ay kumukuha ng totoong buhay. Daniel chapter 6 is actually the story of Daniel being a prayerful person, not only prayerful, a consistent, prayerful servant of God, even when it becomes illegal. Biruin nyo, during his time, the prayer becomes illegal. So his faithfulness leads to God's deliverance. Tingnan natin yung story, no? So ano nangyari? Gumawa na naman ng batas. Tapos ang target talaga nila si Daniel kasi alam nila si Daniel nagpipray 3 times a day. At dahil target nila gusto pabagsakin si Daniel, itong mga kalaban ni Daniel, kinausap si Nebuchadnezzar at sabi pa, mahal na hari, gumawa tayo ng batas. Dahil sa kanila kasi ang hari, quote-unquote, tinuturing na Diyos din, Diyos-Diyosan, maliit na din. No? Kaya sabi niya, during this time na pagbabawal niyo po yung pagpipray kahit kaninong Diyos. Dapat po magpipray sila sa inyo lang. Meaning to say, parang yung ego ni Nebuchadnezzar, no? Kasi Diyos, quote-unquote, Diyos ako. So, imbis na magpray sila sa iba, sa akin sila magpray, sa akin sila humingi, bibigay kung kailangan nila. Parang gano'n, no? Dahil yung ego ni Nebuchadnezzar parang nagatungan, gumawa nga siya ng batas. Pero during this time, si Daniel, being a good servant of the king, is actually his favorite. Kaya lang, clouded yung utak niya. Hindi niya alam na may pakana, may gusto palang gawin yung mga kalaban ni Daniel. Nung naging batas na ito, alam niyo ang kauna-unahang ginawa ni Daniel, itong verse 10. Listen to this. But when Daniel learned that the law had been signed, yung batas, pinirmahan na para maging batas. Alam niyo ang ginawa niya? At ano yung batas? Bawal mag-pray. Bawal mag-pray. Nung marinig niya ito, alam niyo ang ginawa niya? Umuwi sa bahay. He went home and knelt down as usual. Grabe, pinagbawal na nga, batas na. Ano pang ginawa niya? Umuwi siya, umuhod siya, at ginawa niya pa rin kung anong kanyang ginagawa. In his upstairs room with its windows open towards Jerusalem. Bakit yung kanyang pinto face towards Jerusalem? Well, you know that Jerusalem is where the place of the temple is located, right? So, during the time, they believe that the presence of God were actually in the temple. So he was like facing to Jerusalem to show that he is actually He is actually praying to the God of Israel. So he prayed, gaano daw kadalas? Grabe ito, no? Sana matutunan ko ito. He prayed 3 times a day. Tayo, parang isang beses lang sa umaga o kaya sa gabi. I hope ma-develop natin to. I'm praying na ma-develop ko to sa akin. 3 times a day. Siguro madaling araw, tanghali, tsaka bago matulog. Siguro ganun. So, he was praying just as he had always done. And normally when he prayed, he opened his window. So what happened? People sees him, no? People are seeing him, giving thanks, worshiping God, praying to the God of the universe. So what happened? Siyempre, anong ginawa sa kanya? Eto na yun. Pinatapon siya sa leon. So, what leadership applications that you can learn? You and I can learn from this. Prayer, listen to this. Prayer sustains leaders in a hostile environment. Alam niyo mga kapatid, ito yung ito yung spiritual discipline na parang ang dali, di ba? Pero hirap na hirap tayo. Pero I tell you, the Bible says it over and over again, that whenever we pray, actually God moves, God listens, God does miracles in our lives, no? Another thing, public faithfulness flows from a private devotion. Alam niyo si Daniel, hindi lang siya prayerful in public. He was actually doing that because he is practicing it in private. I pray mga kapatid na tayo ganyan din. No? We are praying in public because we are actually doing it already in private devotion. And because of that, what happened? Because of Daniel's faithfulness, again, God proved himself faithful to protecting his people. Anong ginawa niya? Nung tinapon siya sa lion's den, anong nangyari doon? Eventually, yung mga leon na gutom, nag-diet, nag-fasting. Hindi pinansin si Daniel, hindi kinain. Pero kinabukasan, nung makita ng hari, buhay pa siya, pinakuha, tapos nalaman ng mahal na hari na yung pakanan ng mga kalaban. So anong ginawa? Pinatapon yung mga kalaban doon. Alam niyo sa Bible, nakasulat din sa Daniel, hindi pa daw bumabagsak yung yung mga kaaway niya. Dinadaluhong na nung mga leon. Pero si Daniel, hindi ginalaw. No? Praise God. God is faithful. So reflection. Let me ask you this. Mga kapatid, if you are under pressure, what is your reflexes? Is prayer your reflex or is it your last resort? I hope that prayer will be our first thing to do. Key lessons number 4. Number 4 na po tayo. Dito sa chapters na ito, Daniel's chapter 2, 4, and 7, you will see these lessons very, very clear. Pinapakita dito that God is supreme. God is sovereign. God is in control and He is in full authority over all kingdoms, kings, governments, etc. Nakanyo? Dito sa chapters na ito, makikita nyo that God is able to raise kings, empires, and kingdoms. But He is also able to remove them. So ang Diyos ang naglalagay, ang Diyos din ang nag-aalis. Earthly powers are temporary, but you will see that God's kingdom is eternal. Alam niyo magkaminsan, pag naisip ko talaga yung bayan natin, sabi ko, ano ba itong mga nangyari sa atin? Yung ating mga leader. Pero alam niyo, pag maaalala ko ang katotohanan na ito, na ang Diyos ang naglalagay at siya rin ang mag-aalis, nagkakaroon ako ng pag-asa. Siguro kailangan lang talaga dumaan ang ating bayan sa, alam niyo yung parang pinapahintulutan ng Panginoon yung mga naranasan nating problema sa mga leaders natin. Alam niyo kung bakit? Kasi tayo rin kasi ang pumili sa kanila eh. Hanggat di natututo yung mga Pilipino, hanggat di tayo talaga natututo na pumili ng mga taong may takot sa Diyos. Pumipili tayo dahil sa nabigyan ka ng 500 o may utang na loob kayo doon sa politiko na yun. Kapag gano'n ang ginagawa natin, we are going to experience like this kind of government. But I tell you, God has also the power to remove them. So yun yung pag-asa ko. Kaya lang siguro ngayon nga, pinapahintulot pa ni Lord na nandyan sila kasi hindi pa tayo natututo eh. But I pray one of these days that we are going to have a president who is truly God-fearing. Tsaka mga presidente, mga ang tawag nito? Mga congressman na gumagawa ng batas na God-fearing. Yan ang prayer ko talaga. And I have hope. Alam niyo kung bakit? Because I know that God is in control. Basahin natin yung ilang mga verses na patungkol dyan. Like ito sa Daniel chapter 37 verse 38. Okay? Sabi rito, Your Majesty, you are the greatest of kings. The God of heaven has given you sovereignty, power, strength, and honor. By the way, this is Daniel talking to Nebuchadnezzar kasi may napanaginipan siya. At ini-interpret niya na. Sabi niya, He has made you the ruler over all the inhabited world and has put even the wild animals and birds under your control. You are the head of gold. Remember, ang napanaginipan ni Nebuchadnezzar yung statwa na yung ulo ginto, yung dibdib ay pilak, tapos bakal, tapos yung paa hanggang sa putik yung luad yung pinakato niya, no? But after you, itong interpretation ni Daniel kay King Nebuchadnezzar. Sabi niya, but after your kingdom comes to an end. Sabi niya, darating na yung panahon na ang kaharian mo, Nebuchadnezzar, ay matatapos. At may papalit sa iyo. Another kingdom inferior to yours will rise to take your place. After that kingdom has fallen, yet a third kingdom represented by bronze will rise to rule the world. Following that kingdom, there will be a fourth one as strong as iron. That kingdom will smash and crush all previous empires, just as iron smashes and crushes everything that strikes. So, ang kinikwento rito ni Daniel, yung mga empires na darating, no? Ini-interpret na yung statwa. Verse 41, niya, the feet and toes you saw were a combination of iron and baked clay, showing that this kingdom will be divided. Now, like iron mixed with clay, it will have some of the strength of iron, but while some parts it will be strong as iron, other parts will be as weak as clay. This mixture of iron clay also shows that these kingdoms will try to strengthen themselves by forming alliances with each other through intermarriage, but they will not hold together, just as iron and clay do not mix. Sabi niya, mawawasak din ito. Now, during the reigns of those kings, the God of heaven, listen to this, darating daw yung mga kaharian na yun. Sabi niya, and eventually the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that will never be destroyed or conquered. So you see, dito nasa narrative pa siya, pero eventually pinapakita na, ni-reveal na ni God kay Nebuchadnezzar through dreams, and the interpretation was given to Daniel, at sinasabi na ito, prophetic prophetic vision, no? Sabi niya, darating po ang panahon, ang Diyos isi-set up niya yung kingdom niya, at hindi yun kailanman masisira, at hindi yun makoconquered. In fact, sabi niya, this kingdom will crush all these kingdoms. Yung lahat ng kingdom na yan, wawasakin yan ng kingdom na darating, and the promise is, it will stand forever. Grabe. Ano sa palagay nyo? Sino sa palagay nyo ang tinutukoy dyan na maghahari sa kaharian na yan? The kingdom that will stand forever. Yes, it's Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is the ultimate king, coming king, who is going to establish the kingdom that will stand forever. Okay. Now, Daniel chapter 4 naman tayo, verse 34. Ano nangyari dito? Ito yung si Nebuchadnezzar, sobrang dumating na talaga, no? Sa ulo niya yung kanyang posisyon, yung kanyang pagiging makapangyarihan, and so therefore nagmalaki na sa kanyang sarili. Sabi niya, hindi ba itong ginawa kong kaharian na ito? And because of his pride, God struck him, or God actually punished him, pinarusahan siya. Ilang taon siya na parang naging siraulo, naging loko-loko, nagpakalat-kalat, kumakain na ng dabo at hindi na naalagaan ng sarili. Nagkaroon talaga ng insanity, no? But eventually, when he started acknowledging that it is actually God who gives him the power to become king, alam niyo, ni-restore siya ni God eh. At ito yung sabi niya, after this time had passed, I, Nebuchadnezzar, looked up to heaven. My sanity returned, and I praised and worshiped the Most High and honored the one who lives forever. So anong ginawa daw ni Nebuchadnezzar? He started actually to acknowledge God. So meaning to say, he believed in the ultimate God who reigns forever and ever, the Most High God, honored and who lives forever. Sabi niya, His rule is everlasting and His kingdom is eternal. Do you think what happened do you think to Daniel to Nebuchadnezzar during these times? Alam niyo, I would like to believe that at this point in time of the life of Nebuchadnezzar, he begins to become a believer. naging mananampalataya ng totoong Diyos. I should say na born again siya. At na-restore yung kanyang sanity. Sabi niya, all the people of the earth are nothing compared to Him. He is referring and addressing to God. He does as He pleases. Tingnan niyo, grabe. Ayun, naintindihan niya na. Sabi niya, ginagawa ng Diyos kung anong gusto niya. Walang makakapigil sa kanya. At sabi niya, among the angels of heaven and among the people of the earth, kahit sa itaas pa ng langit o sa ibabaw ng lupa, sabi niya, no one can stop Him or say to Him, what do you mean by doing these things? Walang makatatanong sa Diyos. Ayun sinasabi niya. Eventually, nakita ni Daniel, ni Nebuchadnezzar, nakita ni Nebuchadnezzar na ang Diyos lang talagang makapangyarihan at lahat tayo magsusulit sa Kanya. Tama niyo? Kaya kailangan tayong sa Kanya lamang sumampalataya. So ano nangyari? Verse 37, now I Nebuchadnezzar praise and glorify and honor the King of heaven. All His acts are just and true, and He is able to what? To humble the proud. That's the conclusion. Sabi niya, grabe ang Diyos. Lahat ng ginagawa niya tama at matuwid at kaya niyang ibaba ang mga mapagmataas. This is actually coming from a king who were able to conquer the entire known world during his time. So that's Daniel chapter 4. Ano naman nasa Daniel chapter 7 verse 9? At Daniel chapter 7 verse 9, you will see this is now actually the beginning where Daniel we're seeing a vision after vision. So ito yung unang mga nakita niya. I watched as throne were put in place. So may nakita daw siyang trono. Nakita niyo yun sa unang pictures natin, no? Sa title slide natin. There's a throne in heaven, and the one that who sits in that throne, ano daw? As I watched, thrones were put in place, and the ancient one, and the ancient one sat down to judge. Ano yung ancient one? That is actually a name or a title referring to the Most High God. Nakita niya daw, no? Nakita ni Daniel yung trono. At ano daw itsura? His clothing was as white as the snow, his hair like purest wool. He sat on a fiery throne where wheels of blazing fire. And a river of fire was pouring out, flowing from his presence. Millions of angels, grabe no, millions of angels ministered to him. These are not just ordinary angels, these are super angels. Many millions stood to attend him. Then the court began its session and the books were opened. So what leadership applications that you and I can learn from those passages that we have just read? Number one, leaders should not fear political or even cultural shifts. Ano man ang nangyayari sa ating gobyerno, sa political arena, huwag tayong malungkot, huwag tayong matakot. God is still in control. Pangalawa, our confidence is in God's eternal reign. Alam niyo, yung lakas ng loob natin, yung pag-asa natin, kinukuha natin dapat doon sa pangako ng Diyos na eventually siya ang maghahari sa atin. At pag dumating yung panahon na yon, ang paghahari niya, dumating na yun sa pamagitan ni Jesus, no? Ang paghahari niya ay magiging walang hanggan. Tama niyo? God is in control. Last key lessons for leaders, lesson number 5. This is the last lesson. You will see the principles from Daniel chapter 12. Well, in Daniel chapter 12, you will see that God is actually promising a final victory. And not only that, He is actually promising, alam nyo, sa Old Testament lang, palang, prinamis na ni God na may resurrection, mabubuhay na muli. No, at hindi yun, during the time of Jesus Christ, the Pharisees did not really study that well, no? Faithfulness is rewarded, even if we look at it as if it is delayed, no? Alam niyo ang katapatan, sa Bible, nakikita mo lagi na ginagantipalaan ng Panginoon. Kahit magkaminsan, ang tingin natin parang delay na siya, pero it's still being rewarded by God. Daniel chapter 12 verse 13, ito makikita nyo. Ito yung final message that you will read from God to Daniel. Sabi niya, as for you, sabi niya, ikaw Daniel, as for you, because He had revealed all these visions and coming events in the future, sabi niya, but as for you, sabi niya, go your way until the end. Sabi niya, nakita mo na mangyayari, magaganap sa mga darating ng panahon, pero sabi niya, ikaw, gawin mo kung anong pinagagawa sa iyo hanggang matapos, hanggang end, so until the end. At itong sabi ni God kay Daniel, you'll rest. Sabi niya, mamamaya pa ka. And then, at the end of the days, ano sabi dito? You will rise again. That's the resurrection. Sabi niya, ikaw, gawin mo kung pinagagawa sa'yo hanggang matapos ang buhay mo, tapos mamamaya pa ka. Pero sabi niya, darating ang panahon, bubuhayin kang muli. Babangon kang muli. Para ano? Tanggapin ang pamana sa'yo, inheritance. Tanggapin ang gantimpala na inihanda para sa'yo. Alam nyo, the same promise actually is given to you and me. Kung anong pinagagawa sa atin ng Panginoon, gawin lang natin yan. Kahit ano pang pressures, ano pang problema, ano pang nangyari sa ating gobyerno, gawin lang natin yung pinagagawa sa atin. Darating ang panahon, we will rest at the end of our lives. But we have the hope God is going to rise us up again. He is going to resurrect us. Bubuhayin niya tayong muli. At sabi niya, pagkatapos ng bibigay sa atin yung gantimpala. Nakanyo, mga kapatid, yung mga ginagawa natin dito sa mundong ito na paglilingkod, masaya tayo minsan pag ino-honor tayo ng ibang tao, nakakatanggap tayo ng kung ano man, no? Because we serve. Pero alam nyo, walang kwenta yung mga yun. Ang pinakamaganda na matanggap natin ay yung mga kayamanan na ibibigay sa atin, inheritance, yung mana na ibibigay sa atin ng Diyos sa darating na panahon. Okay lang na wala pa tayo ngayon ganun. Kasi nire-reserve yun ni God para dun sa huling panahon. When you and I are resurrected, then He's going to give us our reward. So what leadership application can you and I apply? Number 1, leaders serve with eternal perspective. Dapat tayong mga leader, nagsiserve tayo kasi ang perspective natin, hindi lang pang ngayon, pang eternal. Nakaka nyo? Hindi lang tayo pang ngayon mga kapatid, pang eternal. So dapat yung mga ginagawa natin, laging ang perspective natin pang eternity. Kasi kung pang dito lang, pansamantala lang, wala tayong pakikinabangan. Faithfulness matters more than visibility or recognition. Ang pagiging tapat ay higit na mahalaga kahit walang kabantay o kaya nakatingin. So, the whole book of Daniel speaks about God's sovereignty, faithfulness in exile, courage under pressure, power of prayer, and eventually the hope that God has for us in the final end of our lives. And we call that victory. Okay? So itong challenge ko sa inyo mga kapatid, 3 bagay lang. Challenge ko sa inyo. As leader, or as a believer, or as a servant of God, I would like to speak to you. Number 1, be faithful. Not only that, be faithful in where God has placed you. Kung saan ka nilagay ni God, gawin mo yan. Maging tapat ka dyan. Palaguin mo yan. Kahit maliit lang yan. Kung saan ka nilagay ni God. Kahit nasa pressures ka, nasa problema ka, kung anong ginawa ni God, kung saan ka nilagay ni God, gawin mo kung anong pinagagawa sa iyo. Huwag mong laktawan yan. Huwag mong iwanan yan. Huwag mong layasan yan. Huwag mong ayawan. Be faithful because God sees you. Number 2, trust God with the result. Kung ano man ang ginagawa mo ngayon, magkaminsan ang pakiramdam ka sa natin, paano nangyayari? Halimbawa, may pinapaabot sa iyong pamilya, mga tao. Ang dami ko nang ginawa. Ang dami ko nang panahon na pinag-pray. Walang nangyayari. Yan mo lang, gawin mo lang pinapagawa sa iyo. Basta sigurado ka na yun ang pinapagawa ni God, ha? Then, trust God for the result. There are times yung result din natin makita ngayon, eh. Pero trust God. Trust God is going to do something about it. And pangatlo, live with courage. Live with courage. Mamuhay tayo na may tapang, may panalangin at may pag-asa. Actually, ang nagbibigay talaga sa atin ng tapang, yung alam mo na sinasamahan ka ng Diyos. And when you are consistent with your spiritual discipline, yung prayer, it's going to give you courage. It's going to give you hope, pag-asa. So mga kapatid, be faithful, trust God, and live with courage. Continue to practice the discipline of prayer, and there is hope. Now, Daniel chapter 12 verse 3, this is the verse that I would like to leave you. Those who are wise, ano daw mangyayari sa mga wise? They shall shine like the brightest of the sky above. At alam nyo kung sino itong mga wise na ito? These are the people who brought souls or people to the Lord. You are called wise if you are actually winning people for the Lord. At ang sabi, you will be one of these brightest stars in the sky. Not literally stars, but God is saying that you are going to bright in the skies of God above because you are wise. Okay, we have discussion questions here. 4 po ito. Ayan. So, paki-screenshot na po